Coming up next on the Wet Fly Swing podcast.
I got to patch this boat. And so we unload everything. It's like a week-long trip. Get like two dudes, father, son, out of the boat, and literally everything, coolers, all of that. Get it out. Get it onto the bank. And we're in a canyon. There's nowhere to put this. We had to make some decisions and whatnot. And essentially, there was no way a heli could grab us in the middle of the canyon. And I took spare life jackets, spare oars, anything with like any dexterity to it, and I just stuffed it into that area where there should have been air in that tube.
That was Cam Gordon making a game time decision while guiding in a remote river canyon. Alaska, Flats Fishing Honduras, and Log Jam Fly Fishing Productions today on The Swing.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today.
Hey, how's it going today? Thanks for stopping by the show. Quick reminder, schooloffishing.co, schooloffishing.co is the best place to find out where we're heading next on our next trip. This is a chance to see where we're heading next and check in on some of the other resources we have coming out there, which includes, in the future, online courses and some of the stuff we're digging to on the trips. We're going to be adding those at this website. So if you can't go on a trip, we are going to have all that information on the website for you to check out. Check it out right now, schooloffishing.co. Today's episode is sponsored by Fishhound Expeditions, putting together remote Alaskan wilderness trips for that trip of a lifetime. These are not your lodge-style trips. These are not your car-style trips. This is remote, floating in, flying in at times, floating in down Alaska in the middle of nowhere, mousing for rainbows, camping out under the stars of the Alaskan sky. This is good stuff. We did a trip earlier this year, and it was amazing. You can check out these trips right now from Fishhound, wetflyswing.com/fishhound, FISHHOUND. Cam Gordon is on the podcast today to share his journey around fly fishing, Fishhound Expeditions, and his Honduras trip operation he has going down there. We find out how he found himself creating this Honduras fishing operation, what his next year looks like around Fishhound Expeditions in Alaska, and what it's like to be a full-time guide. The main man behind Logjam Fly Fishing and a guy who brings the passion. Here we go. Cam Gordon from Logjam Fly Fishing on Instagram and fishhoundexpeditions.com. How you doing, Cameron?
I am great, Dave. How are you?
Good, man. Good. This is it's been a long time coming. Sometimes this stuff goes with like lots of ups and downs, and I've had to. The scheduling has been tough, but we finally got this, and I'm excited because we did a trip with you. And actually, I just talked to Nick last week, and he again. Every time we talk, a smile comes on our face because we did this trip up to Alaska with you. You know, you and the crew in Fishtown, and this is an amazing trip. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. We're going to talk about what you have going in Honduras because you've got this really cool program there as well. But before we jump into all that, take us back real quick to fishing, fly fishing. How'd you first get into this, and then how'd you take it into a business?
Oh, boy. Well, I've been fishing since I was in diapers. It's my little claim to fame. On my first birthday, my grandfather got me a fishing pole. It's kind of a rite of passage in my family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then from there, fly fishing has been in the last 10 years. I want to say, was it 2023? So, yeah, 2013, right around there. I've been fly fishing for about a decade, and I'd say I spend about 90% of my casts with a fly rod in hand, but I am not a purist. I just like catching fish. So I do, a little bit of trolling, a little bit of center pinning. I just like catching fish.
For sure. That's it. Well, I think that's the more people you talk to, and I think the more, it's not even a younger generation thing. I think it's just that the more people that are kind of real about it feel like fishing is fishing. You're not the fly fishing purist thing. It seems like it's almost old school. Like that's just kind of going away, and people just love, you love what you do. Some people love just fly fishing. Some people love just conventional, right? But it's all good as long as you're having fun. That's kind of the point, right?
Most definitely, as long as you're out there like respecting the fish. And I mean, I'll be out there with my buddies, and like on a week-long steelheading trip, it's like, yeah, I'll swing for a day or I'll beat or whatever's going on, and then it's like, man, I didn't catch a fish yesterday. It's like, screw it. I want to catch a fish. I'm going to pull out my center pin, and I'm going to make everyone trash talk me, but I'm going to be the one with the numbers that day.
Right.
And so it's just whatever each person wants, man. If you're like diehard, got to catch that fish. on a home tide fly, swinging it like space style, like, and you'll take one fish the whole week if you catch it the way you want to catch it, dude. Right on. I get in those moods sometimes, and they'll last all of like a full day, and then I'm just like, screw it. I just want to feel a tug.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And so I want to dig into, you got quite a bit. I'm not even sure that's what we're going to touch on here because, from the Fishhound, we did that trip. Well, maybe let's just start there, just from your kind of yearly. So right now, it's kind of March. It's going to be April here. Talk about what you have going, because you have this thing in Honduras, and then eventually you change, right, and head up to Alaska. When does all that stuff happen?
Yeah, man. So I'm based in Talkeetna, Alaska. That's where I am, resident, live full time, and I guide for Fishhound Expeditions, and I'm the multi-day guide. So Western AK, Kodiak, heli trips here in Talkeetna, working for Adam Cuthrell, absolute homie, great friend. He has got such a killer culture going here at Fishhound, man. It's so fun. We're fish bums, and like we are not that like I don't know. I always try to describe what makes Fishhound different than your normal maybe Wyoming or Montana fly shop, and it's just different. We're young dudes, and we're not always by the book or whatever. We're just really having fun is like our mo. And yeah, Alaska fishing on a good year is like the fishing's the easy part. Our jobs are pretty easy because there's a lot of fish and we're going to really isolated areas. So on a normal year, I say, because last year was pretty challenging with all the rain. Our job is more just camp life and rowing boats. And yeah, we took you guys out on like the section, a river that I'm on pretty much all summer long. That's my home up there, and it's pretty close to Talkeetna, so that's where I'm based out of, and I know those waters pretty darn well. I feel very at home up there, and it was absolutely so fun to bring you guys on that second.
Yeah.
You guys got a taste of it for sure. I mean, it can be better, but it can be worse. But
I know. It's fishing. It's fishing.
yeah,
Exactly. We rolled it. And the thing about it is that, again, that goes back to the trip. The fishing's just part of it. And, if it would have been, the fishing was good. It actually turned out we had some really, good action. But the water was high, right? So it was a bit high. But everything else was amazing, right? I mean, Talkeetna, we had some epic nights in Talkeetna. The poker night, right? Dick won the poker tournament or whatever. I think, let's see now, I can't remember, but it was just one of those things. We had this great week, and we spent we're on the river for those days. And at the end of the day, it's just a pretty special place. I mean, what do you think about Alaska? I asked, Adam's been on it here a few times, and I've talked to people that have moved up to Alaska from the lower 48, and some of them just didn't come back. And it's hard, right? I mean, what for you keeps you in Alaska?
Oh man. Well, I leave Alaska for about 3 months a year, sometimes all at once, sometimes not all at once. And but like what keeps me here is, the fish for sure. But then everything freezes over and I do not have the attention span to go hard water, ice fishing. But I just love the mindset up here, man. It is like a true blue kind of libertarian life, like, just leave me alone, and if you need help, I'm here to help you, man. I got you, neighbor or whatever, like, everyone is down to help each other, and everyone just loves the outdoors, loves fishing, hunting, getting on the river, man. It's honestly like a true outdoorsman's paradise. That's why I live here.
Yep, that's it. And really, the weather thing, like right now, what is it? It's kind of mid-March. How's it looking there? Is it a little cool?
Oh, March is one of my favorite months, man. It's perfect. You've got like where I'm at least, you've got about teens to 20s at night, and then anywhere from high 20s to high 30s and blue skies, sunshine in the daytime
Oh,
with a
wow.
really nice snowpack. So we do a lot of cross
Gosh,
country skiing. It's March is the best time.
that's good. So you're getting just killer sun and lots of snow and just hanging.
Yeah, so, like, yeah, the snow, like, is pretty much done.
Yep.
We'll, like, wake up to a few inches or something, but the big dumps are over. I say that now, we'll probably get, like, 2 feet, but, no, for the most part, it's just sunshine, and it's great, you can go out and skiing and, like, not it's not that windy. I love Talkeetna, man. March is one of my favorite months of the year in Talkeetna.
Yeah, March is good. Nice. So you got March, and then pretty much here another April, whatever, right? May, you're going to be starting to get going on the fish hound stuff.
Yeah, man. May will be when we start guiding just local rivers, all along what we call the highway system. So anything that flows into the Susitna, and then generally the mouth is where you're going to find your fish early season. And it can be hit or miss. Sometimes you'll crush it, sometimes not so much. We try, unless we're just going to go for grayling, we try to stay away from the upper sections of those creeks because those big breeding trout are going to enter first and they're going to start spawning, and you like that is just I feel so bad if I hook a spawning trout. So you're guaranteed to not hook one if you just stay low.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Nice. So you stay low and you stay away from the spawners.
All those spawners are going to head right up, first thing, do their business, and then hang out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's it. And we've talked to, like I said, Adam's been on, and we've definitely dug into the Alaska experience and the fishing. So I want to turn the tide here and really focus on Honduras, what you're doing, I guess, for a few months out of the year, because that's one of those places that we haven't. We've done some stuff in South America and Central America and stuff like that, but Honduras is not one of those places that we've talked about. And I'm not sure why that is. Are there some? I mean, I'm guessing there's some operations in Honduras, or is it just one of those places that is still below under the radar?
Yeah, man. So one of the best operations that I'm definitely biased because it's a friend of mine, but truly one of the best operations for saltwater flats fishing. And if you're trying to slap a permit, is Fly Fish Guanaja with Steve Brown. Dude's a legend. He and I have started a friendship. He's good friends with Adam. They've guided together. He's a Colorado homie, and dude's got a documentary about him called Beyond the Horizon on Vimeo. He is an incredible fishy dude, and Fly Fish Guanaja is like what I would view if I was, not a guide and just a dude working a 9 to 5, saving up money to go on a fly fishing trip, man. Fly Fish Guanaja.
That's it. Guanaja. And how do you spell that?
Oh, Guanaja. Guanaga.
Yeah, Guanaja, right. Okay, perfect.
It's a part of the Bay Islands, and that's where I'm starting my operation is in the Bay Islands, just doing a really small, lovely, all-inclusive, flats, fly fishing resort. I kind of found this lovely little area. My girlfriend and I were okay, I gotta give Lily credit. She actually found this spot because, she's a boat captain, and she went out, like, scuba diving and Hawaii and was like, "Man, I want to drive this boat." And they're like, "Okay, in order to drive this boat, you have to be a dive master." And she's like, "All right, cool." She Googles cheapest place to get dive certified. Boop, this place pops up on the map. She, goes down there, gets dive certified, and then falls in love with diving. And then, yeah, then enters Cam. And of course, I bring my fishing rod with me as I always do anywhere I go. And I'm like, holy cow, like day 2 out there, I'm like, there's a tailing bone. Are
Oh,
you
no
kidding
way.
me?
Amazing.
So yeah, and it just all is kind of fallen into place. And 23 into 2024, that winter, I'm gonna do what I keep calling the soft opening, where I'm ironing everything out, and I'm transitioning from guide to owner, which is kind of terrifying because I've been a guide for like 10 years, so I don't know what else to, how to be on the other side of the table per se. And so yeah, so the soft opening is going to be friends, people that I've guided with, Fishhound folks that were familiar with us, and just going to be, people that are okay with a couple of curveballs here and there, being like, "Hey, we're figuring it out, and we'd like you to be here for it."
Like the beta. This is the beta version. Or no, not even the beta. Not even the beta, right? This is just the new.
Well, we got the fish, we got the boat, we got all that, we got the guide, we got the lodging. The lodging is spectacular. It's this full house, 4 bedrooms. Everyone's got their own bathroom and shower with a pool and ocean view. It's epic, man. It's so epic. But we just don't want to jump into the deep end too quick. So first year, soft opening, maybe get like 10 groups of people out there. And then, you know, we want to hear everyone's feedback. We're kind of picking folks to come out and join us because we know that they're going to be straight up and be like, yo, this could use improvement. This is amazing. Hey, we don't even care about that. You don't even need that. Don't spend money or time on that. We don't care. Stuff like that. So very exciting. It's definitely been consuming my life, but
That is
I'm
exciting.
really stoked on it. Yeah, man.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, I mean, Honduras, the whole area down there, right? You think of, getting like the break. So you're in Alaska, you got a rainy season, although Alaska can be super amazing too in the summer. But describe Honduras a little bit, like for somebody who hasn't been there. What could you expect? What makes Honduras amazing?
So the Bay Islands are, this little island chain off the coast of Honduras, and it's in the same reef as, Belize. I mean, if you look at a map, and we're like almost a stone's throw away from Belize, and everyone knows about Belize. Like
Sure.
that's on the map. So it's kind of just the next location. It's the Mesoamerican Reef, which is the second largest reef in the world. Um, yeah, beautiful area, and lots of resident tarpon. There definitely are plenty of migratory tarpon, resident permit, resident bones, resident jacks, snook. Um, our spot where we're at is bonefish mecca. If you're trying to have a bone take you to your backing,
Hmm.
we can do that real quick.
No kidding.
Oh yeah.
What is the fishing like there? Is this because I know there's some places people talk about the Grand Slam or whatever. Is this, and permit obviously are not the easiest fish to catch. Is that something that is like doable here where you can have like action on all of them, or does it depend on the time of year?
Yeah, so our island is because of the mangrove growth, the snook are actually kind of tough to come by, whereas in like Guanaja, the mangroves are a little more mature, and so that's more room for the snook to hang out. And so for me, Grand Slam is tarpon, bonefish, snook, permit. I know that some people disclude the snook, but yeah, we could, yeah.
Yeah, why is that? Why do they take out the snook? That seems like, yeah, that's the other three usually you hear about.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, if there's like a bonefish and a snook, hanging out right next to each other, I'm casting at the snook.
No kidding.
Oh heck yeah, man, they're
Nice.
awesome. They're really cool fish, and you just don't see them as much. So yeah, it is possible. But yeah, that trifecta grand slam of just the permit bonefish tarpon is definitely doable. A lot of our tarpon are either like pets at the docks where dudes coming in from like offshore blue water fishing, and they just clean a wahoo and toss it in, and the tarpon are eating that. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna dock fish for tarpon. Those are pets.
Right. That's
um,
crazy.
so if you're really like looking for the guarantee of a tarpon, you just go back into the mangroves, and they need oxygen, so you'll just see them kind of like slurping and just cast in that direction. Or if there's like a little freshwater stream coming in, cast in that area, and you'll catch like anything from like palm sized tarpon to arm length.
Really?
Yeah, it's fun, man.
So these are like, yeah, I mean, they're just all considered like a baby tarpon up until what, like 50 pounds or something like that?
Oh, man. I'm actually not totally certain on that, but I'd be willing to say that, like, the 30 to 50-pound tarpon is the, like, most fun fish to catch in the world. I have a lot of species that I haven't touched yet, but man, like, a 40-pound tarpon is wild.
Yeah.
So much freaking fun.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And you mentioned the oxygen. Now, what is that? Do you know? I don't know much on just kind of that. They need oxygen, or what's the deal with the tarpon?
Oh, yeah, man. They definitely need oxygenated water.
Oh, oxygenated water. Yeah, 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 totally.
Yeah, so you'll see them slurping oxygen as they go, and then once they go out, so we're actually really big scuba divers, because I love catching fish, but honestly, I just love fish. Yeah, so going down and spending, an hour underwater and staring at fish, I have seen some of the coolest things ever doing that. And so, yeah, you'll see out there like some, 100-pounder tarpon cruising along, and they actually don't really need that oxygen anymore, but it's more of like a, I don't know, I wanna say like prenatal type of thing. If you see them like slurping, that just means that they're happy fish. They're just doing what they did when they were kids, kind of.
That's cool.
So you see like some big tarpon rolling out there, you're like, "That is a happy fish. Let's throw something at 'em.
Yeah.
Let's go. Party
Yeah.
on."
Wow. What was like? So I know, we mentioned Adam, and I think didn't the whole team came down there? Didn't they all come down there this year to check out the place?
Oh, yeah, man. We had a Fishhound party down in Honduras. That was a good time.
That's right. And I heard that Will. Well, I think Adam was stoked and trying to get the fish, but Will was just like loving just being there. Is that the case? He didn't get as much fishing in. He was just kind of hanging.
Yeah, it most definitely. I think so day 1, those boys arrived. at Will and Shane, and we partied, of course, and then I woke up at, like, 6 AM to go walk the flat, and they never showed up, caught a bonefish,
Oh,
showed up
nice.
at their place, and I start bragging and stuff, and they're like, "Oh," Will's like, "Oh, I'm a piece of" like, I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you are."
Nice.
And, and then so the next day they got up, Will got up with me, and he and I hiked the flat, and, yeah, I listened to the episode with Will, and I loved him describing that moment because it was really one of the best moments ever where, he's not tuned in to his eyes, like, looking for that. Like, I go out with Will any day of the week, and he'll point out, like, a king salmon that's in, like, a 12-foot deep hole, and I'm just like, "What the heck? How do you see that? Dude's got radar."
Oh, wow.
Like, and it was so great to have the tables turned because I'm out there on the flat, wind, sun, all that, and I'm like, "Dude, that fish is face down, ass up, cast at it." He's like, "I don't see it." I'm like, "All right, just do what I say." And then next thing you know, he's ripping into his backing, and he's dancing all over the flat, like, stoked beyond belief, and then yeah, and then the boys discovered everything else that our little, paradise has to offer, which it's a really safe, lovely environment. It's like a backpacker's island, and there's a lot of scuba diving, snorkeling, beaching, and it's just not like that normal touristy zone. There's plenty of tourists, but it's more like kinda younger generation people that are traveling on a budget. It's not that cruise ship, uh, mentality, and so they were just like yeah, you could tell they love fishing, but they're like, "Man, there's some pretty girls here, and scuba diving's cool."
Right.
And that's like honestly my perfect day out there, and that's like one thing with my company I'm starting out there is that we're just gonna go wherever the company wants to go. I'm not completely like die hard on making this a fly fishing company. If people want to do blue water, if they want to go scuba diving, we're dive certified. I'm getting my dive master and stuff. Like we can make this, whatever people want to do. If you want to do a day of blue water, a day of fly fishing, a day of snorkeling, like by all means, this is your vacation. This place is super cool. So yeah, my perfect day is I'll hit the flat, from sunrise, which is like 5:36 till, 11 maybe, or until I've chased all the bones out of the way. And then I'll go get some lunch, go in a boat at 1 and go diving until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then that's it. Maybe go to karaoke.
Right.
It's a lovely little place to spend some time.
That's right. What is the like as far as I guess we're not going to go deep into all the the nightlife and stuff, but is it pretty cool? There's plenty of places you can kind of get some good food, hang out, do whatever.
Oh man, you can get anything from, street tacos for $2 to, steak and lobster for like, 25, $30. Depending on where you wanna go. Yeah, you got options and it's really cool. That's what I think is gonna make, this, fly fishing resort that I'm starting here a little different from the rest because I've heard some stories of folks being like, "Yeah, man, that resort was epic. So cool." But the second you walked off of the premises, you're like, "Oh boy, this is interesting. We are in, Central America." Whereas this one, it's like, "Man, I'm gonna give you the keys to a golf cart and like go have fun." Uh, you're good. Like you're fine. So
Yeah, this sounds perfect. It sounds like a really good place to maybe even take the family. You got a couple little kids or whatever come down.
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's what we're trying to start. So yeah, in the soft opening, I got buddies that are bringing their wives and just the two of them. So yeah, stuff like that. It's cool. Kind of makes it a little different, which I'm very excited about. See what people's reaction are, and if people are just like, "Nah, man, this fishing is killer. We just want to fly fish for 7 days." I'm like, right on. We
Yeah,
can do that.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, listen to your people, see what they say. That is so cool.
And that's one thing I've learned, guiding in the backcountry here in Alaska with Adam and stuff. It's like, this is your vacation, man. Like, if you want to get up at 5 AM and go hike around and fish, right on. If you want to party around the campfire and then sleep till like 11 AM, whatever, right on. This is your vacation. Like, so definitely just letting people do what they want to do.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Okay, so we nailed that Honduras. This sounds like you've got this epic journey ahead of you. Do you see it as that when you look ahead? You're just starting here. Do you see this as like, yeah, this is the long-term deal?
Most definitely. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna try to make as my, career, what I'm going all in on because unfortunately this, guiding does have an expiration date on it. At least this type of guiding that we do in the backcountry, it's physically demanding, it's exhausting. I love it to death, but I don't want to be doing it till I'm 40. You know, I'm totally fine doing it in my 30s, stoked on it, but there needs to be some type of plan. And I'm really excited about this. And I think my favorite part, you'll love this story, of how this all started was when COVID hit.
Hmm.
We took we took actually a bunch of trips 2020, and I had these guys, father and son. Son was maybe like a decade older than me, like late 30s, early 40s, and we got on super great. It was such an epic trip. It was on, our river in Talkeetna that I took you guys down.
yeah.
And they were from one of the Carolinas, maybe somewhere over there. And they love to go fishing for redfish. That was like their thing, and like poling and all that. And they just talked about it the whole time. And I'm like, man, you guys better shut up, or else like I'm gonna really get into this. And the whole time they were just like, you've got to, like,
Right.
you would love this. And I'm like, all right. And then, like, sure enough, the season's over, 2020, October comes and goes, and I'm just like, screw it. Like, I was spent like 8 days on the river with those guys. And I was like, you know what? Screw it, man. Talked to the girlfriend and stuff. And I was just like, I gotta go do something. She's like, okay. And I was like, yeah. So I hopped in the car with my dog and I drove from Talkeetna to Key West, Florida.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's amazing. And that took you, how long did that take you?
Oh gosh. I don't know, man.
That's so cool. That is something, this right at the spur, you're just like, let's do it.
Yeah. Just got the dog and a couple good books on Audible. And along the way, I stopped and I bought a boat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. It was a little like 16-foot flat bottom with a 20 on the back on a tiller. Because the whole way down, I'm calling this poor dude, oh gosh, can't remember his name, in Key West, just being like, yo, I've never saltwater fly fish before. I'm gonna come down there. I've always wanted to go to Key West, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what do I need? And I start, slowly I built up my gear list and stuff. And he's like, dude, you need a boat. Like, it's just, and I'm like, screw it. So I took all my tips from the year and I bought a freaking boat.
Wow.
It wasn't all my tips, but yeah, I showed up to Key West, didn't know a single soul, had a boat, had my dog, and that was it. And I started couch surfing, making friends, just ripping the boat around every day. I had one of my best friends of all time, Pat Miller, show up. He shows up to the Miami airport. I roll in, boat attached to the back of my shitty Subaru. And, at the airport, like, pickup thing. And I, like, roll down the window. I'm like, get in, we're going fishing. And like, we just start cruising down the highway, go to the Everglades, rip that boat around everywhere, catching jacks. And just, like, that was my start to saltwater fly fishing, just being a literally know nothing jackass in Florida with a boat.
In Key West.
in Alaska plates. And everyone's like, what are you doing?
Amazing. So that was it. That was your first taste of saltwater.
That was it, man. Sometimes you just got to go all in.
Right. And did you have any, has the redfish, have you touched some redfish since then?
No, never caught a redfish. There's a lot of species that, yeah, like, honestly, that was like the thing that really got me into it, was that it took me weeks of being on the water every day just to see fish. Like, the first time I saw paddling tarpon blowing up, I just lost my shit. I was like, no way. I found them. I freaking found them. And then, of course, I didn't catch one. But like, every time I just saw a fish, it was like euphoria. I didn't catch that many. Lots of barracuda and stuff, which, aren't too, they're fun, but they're not like a target species. They're not like one of the main four. And that was it. I'm like, yep, here we go. I'm addicted.
Oh, you did. And this boat, do you still have this boat?
No, I got rid of it.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So you just had it, right. You just got it for the trip down there, and then right.
Yeah. What did I do after the Keys? After the Keys, I got rid of the boat. Had a shoulder surgery that I've been putting off forever, and then drove back up to Alaska and started guide season 2021.
Right. So you did. Wow.
Yeah.
And when did this? So the Honduras thing. When was the first year you were down there?
First year in Honduras was 20. end of 21 into the beginning of 22.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then I've been back, I think 4 times now.
Yep. Right. So you got this little spot down there. This is awesome. And so what are the next steps? I mean, I guess let me just say this. So people listening now, it sounds like it's not quite open up. If people, and let's just say this, a year from now, somebody's listening to this, where would we send them to make sure if they're interested in maybe connecting with you and finding out what's available? What would you tell them?
Oh yeah, man. So Adam has been gracious enough to do my bookings. So Fishhound Expeditions can hook you up and send you to Honduras to come fishing with me with Bay Island Expeditions. But like I said, 23 to 24, we're going to be pretty
Yeah, pretty low key.
yeah, we're going to be super low key, honestly. And then 24 to 25, that winter there, hopefully we can book out, folks that just want to come fishing. And then, long-term goal is to get it to be a year-round operation. Yep.
Year round. That's right. So you can do, that's the thing, you can fish year round down there, not just in the prime time. There's a lot of periods where you can hit it.
That is correct. You can catch bones year-round down there. And so I've just been kind of working with Steve Brown at Fly Fish Guanaja and going kind of just taking a lot of pages out of his book because dude's got it dialed in. And so just been trying to figure it out. He started his Fly Fish Guanaja when he was 30 years old. It's been going for 15 years now. He's taken presidents of the United States fishing out there.
Wow.
Amazing people. I'm 30 years old, starting this company with Steve's blessing. It has been quite a wild ride. It's all.
Sounds like you have the perfect kind of mentor there in somebody that's kind of already done it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And lots of connections. I mean, the fly fishing world is kind of small in its own way, even though every time Steve says, this guy, this guy, this guy, and I'm like, no, I don't know anybody because I just started saltwater, a couple of years ago.
Right.
But it's been awesome, man. Really, really excited about the future.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll keep in touch. I mean, obviously there's there's a lot going. I would love to get down to hunt. I mean, there's so many places. I think a lot of people are like that, right? They've got all these places to go and not enough time. So it's kind of that thing where you're prioritizing. But that part of the world seems, I mean, like you said, Belize, if you just look on a map and just go north over the ocean, right, you're going to run into Belize. It's kind of a weird corner, right, where you're at. Honduras is kind of down below. And so you're right there. What are the other places in that? I mean, have you traveled a little bit around that part of the world, or have you just kind of focused on Honduras?
I've been staying strictly in the Bay Islands, just trying to really get familiar with those fish and those flats. I would love to go exploring into the mainland, as they all call it, and into Central America. I did a backpacking trip across Costa Rica right after I graduated high school, so that's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm really trying to focus my efforts on just learning those fish, which has been it's been an absolute joy to get to know an entirely new fishery. Whereas like in Alaska, man, a lot of times I'm just like on my day trips or even my multi days, I'm like, man, I'm getting paid right now for my knowledge of these fish.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm cooking you your 3 meals and stuff, and I'm rowing the boat and all that, but really, I'm getting like, when it comes down to it, like, if you're a hardcore angler, you're paying me because I know these fish. Like, these fish stood up and had a speech in my wedding type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're familiar. No, you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're there. I mean, you're there every day, right? These trips you guys do are, yeah, that's an extreme deal, right? Flying in, the gear, the cooking on the river, all, everything, bears. And then compare that to, say, the Honduras thing. That must be, I think I asked the guys about that, right? That must be you look at the difference of the fishing between Honduras. They're both hard though, because, fishing for permit isn't easy either. But tell somebody who hasn't done the Honduras thing versus, say, Alaska, which one's easier?
Oh man, like as far as guiding?
Yeah, that's a good, actually, yeah, do it as far as guiding than to do it as far as just being an angler.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so as a guide, man, I've got the best gig in the world as far as I'm concerned, man. I'm so blessed. I love my job. Like, it's insane. I actually had so many people telling me all the time, like, you've got the craziest job, and everything I'm exposed, just a normal day of what I see and the fish that I net, and just like
The Alaska job.
Yeah, and just all the stuff that occurs in front of me just in a normal day is just so cool that I started this whole logjam fly fishing because it's literally just like the stuff that I see, on a regular basis. And everyone is telling me like, "Yo, this is the coolest." My brother and stuff, who's like diehard angler. I fish with my brother every chance I can. He's an amazing angler, and they're just like, "Yeah, this needs to be like recorded, and people want to see this stuff." I'm like, "Right on." So here's just my daily or whatever life, and um, yeah, I just have so much content, even though filmed with my shitty phone. Like, there's just something always happening back there on these trips. And yeah, the fishing is generally, if you're looking for numbers, yeah, come to Alaska, man. If you want a bent rod, most of the time, I mean, you could just go catch pink salmon until your heart's content. Personally, Adam definitely is gonna preach September because the fish are giant. I always preach late June, because the streamers, I'd rather catch, a bunch of fish on a streamer, swinging that thing, rather than watching a bobber drop. I love late June because I took my parents out there last year, and yeah, I got a video. I was like, "Yeah, okay, right there." I just know where that fish is gonna grab it. I just take a video, and sure enough, my mom's line is just wham, 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 just like set.
Right. And the mice too, right? You got the mice in June.
Oh you can mouse till your heart's content. I've had a lot of folks just only fish a mouse
Right. That's all they want. Yep. They just want to do mice.
for like 6 days straight, just only a mouse, which is fun. Yeah, and we catch grayling and dollies on the mouse, which is hysterical.
Today's episode is sponsored by Fishhound Expeditions, who puts together remote Alaskan wilderness trips for that bucket list trip of a lifetime. And these aren't your typical lodge-style trips or DIYing it. This is basically floating down the river in remote Alaska with the rainbows, the bears, and all the critters out there, but getting the luxurious comforts of camping with tents and cots and good food and all that stuff. We've had Adam on in a number of episodes here, and actually just give away a big trip this year up to Alaska. So he's been doing some good stuff. Adam and the crew have done a great job. We were on a trip with them down on this remote section. We had the Northern Lights one night. We had beautiful floating down the river. We had whitewater, good food, big campfires, you name it. Got some nice big rainbows, got some coho. It was just an epic all-around trip, and it definitely was a trip of a lifetime. You can head over right now if you want to check this out, wetflyswing.com/fishhound, and check in with Adam and pick his brain to see what kind of trips they have on the list. I know they're filling up quick, so if you want to get in there for this next year, check out Fishhound, Fishhount, to connect with Adam and the crew over at Fishhound. And you support this podcast by clicking through that link and checking in with the crew. Okay, back to the show. So it's easier. So the Alaska fishing is easier than the fishing, being a guide in Honduras.
That's why you come to Alaska, man. Like, cause it is easy. And I say that, and then of course I'm gonna have some clients where like we only catch 2 fish in a day. It's still fishing.
Yeah.
That you always need to put that like whatever disclaimer on it that it's still fishing, man. We have good days and we have bad days. But yeah, going down like a highway stretch here on Willow Creek or whatever versus floating the Roaring Fork in Colorado. Like, yeah, you're gonna catch bigger fish and probably more fish, if not the same amount. And then in Honduras, man, flats fishing, you're hunting. Like, I don't know if you do a lot of bow hunting or not. I personally do not.
Yeah.
But I've got friends that do, and that are super into it, and they're just like, "This is bow hunting, man. This is just hunting, hunting, hunting." Because you go out hunting, you're not going to just go bam, bam, bam into the woods and hope you hit something. So you're not blind casting out there. You're not just hoping there's a fish there. Every now and then, if I see something that looks funky, yeah, take a shot. But you're really just hunting for fish.
Right. Yeah, take us there a little bit on that. So if you're out there, think of the last fish you got that was memorable on the flats, and take us up to the steps before you got that fish. What happened? I mean, take the whole thing. Like, and you have a boat too, so it sounds like you can do both, or you can kind of just wait out there. Or how's that look?
Let's see. So the boys came down, and I actually didn't do a whole lot of fishing then because I wanted just to see them catch fish, and go figure the one like nice. I got one bone that was on a. I go to Adam. I'm like, yo, I just want to work on my back, my cast here for a quick second, and I shoot it. And I'm like, what do you think? Because Adam's a phenomenal caster, and I'm
Oh, he is. Yeah.
yeah, dude. He's been fly fishing, I think, like a decade longer than me.
Right.
And I'm like, just shooting around. And I'm like, all right, so what do I got to do here? And he's like, oh, okay, you got to fix this, fix that. I'm like, cool, that's easy enough. And I'm just like stripping it in to take a recast. And all of a sudden my line just starts ripping out. And I'm
Really?
like, oh, yep, okay, caught a bonefish.
Just like that.
And as I was just preaching to him how like you don't want to do a lot of blind casting, I'm like, literally, welcome to guiding. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to be so careful what you say. But man, like I'm at peace, and I love the most like when I wake up and I can go hike the flat and the sun is coming up and I'm just looking for any what we call nervous water, anything going on. But yeah, the most recent, man, couple stories. I had one permit that I call El Jefe. I've seen them twice now coming through there. Once the permits start to get grown, they no longer travel in schools. So you just see one ginormous freaking fish.
Oh, wow.
And your heart just comes out of your chest. And everything you've ever learned your entire life about fly fishing and casting, you forget.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all instincts at that point.
You just freaking botch it. And no, I actually had a couple some decent casts at him, and I was very proud of it. And he just looked it off, and he was like, "No, dude, you cannot fool me." But then, yeah, some bones. Had a really nice situation one time where I was casting into about 8 inches of water, which is really freaking tough to do. Like the more shallow the water is, the more spooky they get. I've seen bones, like I said about the scuba diving. I just enjoy watching fish. So a lot of times I'll just sit there and I'll see them tailing, and I'll just hang out on the bank, no shadow, no nothing, and I'll just watch, just get to know those fish and see how they're moving around, and just like because I know the second I cast at them, even if I catch one, they're gone. You know, maybe they'll school up at a different place and I'll find them like a half an hour later or something. But I really want to, a lot of times, enjoy just watching those fish. And so I've seen them just cruising around and they spook themselves.
Right.
I've seen fish just like bump into each other. What was that? What was that? And all of a sudden, poof, the whole school's gone. And I'm like, I'm sitting here. My shadow is nowhere. There's no birds overhead. They just spook themselves.
They're spooky. So they're spooky. All those fish are spooky because they're either, well, I guess the tarpon are eaten, but everything's kind of prey for the most part.
Yeah. And so I landed a really nice, like super lightweight crab in about 8 inches of water, just following the school. And you'll see 2 or 3 tails. And then, but you don't know where the whole school is. You're in 8 inches of water and there could be 20 fish that you don't see. So if you cast it even, 5 feet next to where you're seeing the tails, you could spook 15 fish, even though you only see 4 tails, something like that. And I landed it, and sure enough, because I saw, okay, there's tails over here, send it over there, and then it lands, a couple little strips, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, just this big ass tail comes up out of the water. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is, I'm working with a 10-foot plus leader here. So I'm like, oh, that's exactly where my fly is. And just give them the whammy, big, strong strip set, and it's like 30 plus fish just take off. There's a wake just going crazy because we're in 8 inches of water, and this bone is just tearing me. It goes out because I'm in between like a sea break spot. So there's like, dead reef on my left, mangroves on my right, and all this shallow water. Well, he just decides to go to the ocean. I'm like, oh shit, his fish is taking me to the mainland. So I landed him. It was great. One of those classic like solo fishing stories where I'm like, no one saw this, but heck yeah.
No one saw it exactly. That was your own memory right there.
Oh man, like a lot of my flats memories are like that because I explored that place by myself.
Oh, really? Yeah, you didn't have a guide. You weren't out there with Steve learning all the secrets.
Oh no, my island that just did it all myself. A lot of learning, to take a dude that doesn't really know much about saltwater and that, I don't have a guide. One day I paid this dude, Tony, told me his name was Tony Baloney. I told him my name is Salmon Cameron. And he just took me around and showed me a couple spots. And I gave him like, you know, I don't know, like 3 cases of beer or something like that. And he was stoked. And he just showed me like where the flats were. Cause my first week out there, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I saw the tailing bones right away, but then of course you got to learn those fish. So
So what do you do? Cruise across from your place off like a few minutes over to the flats? Is that how it works in the boat? Or can you just walk out right off the cabin?
oh, well, so my homeboy, who's gonna be the guide for, Bay Island Expeditions, he's got the boat, and we've got a deal worked out and whatnot, but, up until I met him about, this year, for a whole year, I didn't have a boat out there. So I was taking a kayak or a bicycle to get to the flats.
Oh, right. There you go.
Oh, yeah. And just every night, just looking at Google Maps and being like, "Where could these fish be, and how could I get to that spot?"
Yeah. So you have it pretty, I mean, is there a lot? I mean, is there so much water that you can't even ever know it all, or do you have a good feel for everything that you need in that area?
You could definitely get to know it all, but, I mean, you're working with tide changing, you're working with fish changing, moon phases, storms coming in and out, winds, man. When you get a westward wind, it changes the whole game out there. So it's all just very different. It's similar to up here where it's like, okay, they're eating streamers, and all of a sudden one day, pink salmon enter, and poof, the bead bites on. And it's like, well, how come I'm not catching these trout in the same spot that I was catching them on the streamer with the bead? And it's like, well, their diet changed and their location changed. They're on the inside of that turn now. They're not on the outside anymore because that's where all the salmon eggs are.
Right, right. Yeah, it's always changing. Yeah, the conditions and so the flats are no different than anything else. It's all every day, depending on wind and tides. It could be a totally different deal where the fish are.
You gotta love those fish and you gotta learn them, and that is right there. When it comes down to guiding and whatnot, like everyone wants someone on a boat that they can enjoy spending time with, but really what you're making your money for is that those fish. Those fish are your family.
Right. What are the mangroves? Describe those a little bit for somebody who hasn't ever been around that. What's that look like? What's that composed of?
Mangroves are fantastic. So what they do, it's a plant and it grows, out of water, and it's a tide dependent plant. So in areas that sometimes are completely dry or sometimes under like 4 feet of water, based on what the tide is doing and what the moon phase is at. And the mangroves it's just insane. Anytime I take like a trout angler out there into the flats and they just see the mangroves, they're like, oh my gosh, there's fish in there. Because what it is it's structure. It is like structure upon structure, and I've gone like snorkeling into the mangroves and I'm looking around in there, and sure enough, there's like juvenile barracudas and jacks and stuff in there. But yeah, it is structure.
Right, structure. So it's just like roots and trees and all sorts of woody
They are like mangroves are just roots, just cascading down
into the water. Yeah.
yeah, tidal areas. And yeah, so they create beach, which is really cool. They keep sand around a lot of times when somewhere, some type of whatever organization is trying to industrialize or whatever, or make an island area, like trying to build houses, get rid of a ton of mangroves and then build a house where those mangroves used to be. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh man, my beach is disappearing. Why is that? Well, the mangroves kept that beach there.
Exactly.
Mangroves are really great, defense against hurricanes and whatnot, keep the land from eroding. And that's one amazing thing that Steve does. He started this, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty confident that it's a nonprofit. It's called Fish for Change.
Oh, yeah.
And they go out and they plant mangroves where they've been destroyed along the Bay Islands, because it's so good for fish habitat, so good for the island, and for it's a natural way to stop erosion. So mangroves are everything. You see them out in Florida.
Yeah,
they're definitely
cool. Just another one of those amazing things. Yeah, structure, habitat, and that's awesome. Fish for Change. I definitely have heard of that group. That's very cool that Steve's involved in that.
Yeah, that's Steve Brown.
Right on, Steve Brown. Okay, cool. So Steve, it sounds like a guy I need to definitely chat with as well. It sounds like he's got some knowledge, 15 years out there, plus he's got this conservation work going.
I call him the Godfather. I'm always like, he's given me a lot of names and a lot of people to contact, and so I'm just bopping around down there, and so people are easy to brush you off. They're like, oh, another white boy trying to get rich down here, or whatever. In which obviously I'm not trying to get rich or whatever, but I'm like, oh, Steve like hooked it up, and I've got this person and that person, and people look at me like, oh, dang, okay, this white boy's actually for real. This is gonna happen. And I'm like, yeah, I got the blessing of the Godfather, the fly fishing Godfather, referring
Right.
to.
So that's how everybody knows, and that is so cool. I wanted to touch on the logjam, go back to that really quick. Logjam fly fishing. That's I guess it's logjam_fly fishing on Instagram, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you have, and that's the thing, you've got some, you do a little bit of that on the side as far as just photos, videography, stuff like that, or is that something you're continuing to kind of refine as you're moving ahead?
Yeah, Logjam kind of, has started and is still taking its own little direction of trying to find its, voice. But I absolutely love editing videos. It's a really nice way to spend my winter when I'm dreaming about fly fishing. And it's like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just go edit a bunch of fly fishing videos. Um, and I just really lack the desire to be like whatever an influencer or Instagram famous or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like it's exhausting, and I just don't really have the heart. But I do love taking my videos, that I've recorded all summer long and shown kind of just a little glimpse into my life. Because I've got homies that I've fished with all across the United States, like some of my best friends. And they love to know what's going on. And yeah, the big ass trout that we catch up here. And just ride to me, like, yeah, riding a helicopter or a float plane is just a part of the job. To some people, they're just like, that is the craziest thing ever.
It
And so
is.
it's like a nice way to kind of show not show off in a way, but just give people a glimpse into like just a backcountry fishing guy in Alaska, or just a normal dude taking people fishing.
That's right. You've got a normal job. You're just taking people in the backcountry in a helicopter, dropping. I mean, how many helicopter trips do you do per season up there in Alaska?
Oh man, I have no clue.
Like a lot, say like 50 or 20 or something like that, 30, 40, 50 or something like that.
I did well, yeah. I mean, I did. I think last year I did like 120 some days in the backcountry. Um, do the math on that. We have like a 5-month season.
Wow.
Yeah, we do Western AK. Do Kodiak, which is epic. In the last episode with Adam, you guys definitely talked about how insane that is, and
Yeah.
that's float planes, bears everywhere. It's just cool, and like honestly, I get a lot of people, talking to me on Logjam and comments and messages like, I've always dreamed of coming up to Alaska and doing that. And like everyone, I live vicariously through you. I hear that stuff. I'm just like, right on, because, I'm blessed to be able to do this. And, I don't have kids and have just, figured it out. And, not everybody can go out and live this life. And that's fine, man. Totally fine. But because there's ups and downs. I'm not, it would be pretty cool if I had a, annual income that I could count on rather than a couple hot months here and there. There's ups and downs to the guide life.
Sure.
No doubt. And so I understand folks that want that stable life. I mean, for a while, I was living out of my camper for years and out of my car and stuff. And so, like, I'm not saying this is all
Yeah, it's not all glamour.
yeah, for sure. It's very adventurous and whatnot, and sometimes it downright sucks, man, to have people come out and pay really great money for a trip and like it just floods. The river floods and we don't catch anything. And you're that guy that's like, I have to keep happy. How do there's times that suck for sure. So I just like give people a glimpse into my life essentially, or I shouldn't say my life, just my job.
Yeah.
And that's why I have my personal account, which is my, my life, my personal life. And then Logjam is just essentially a look into my life and the bonds also that I've created through fishing. Like my best friends in the world I've met through fishing, or I've dragged into the dark grasp and have taught them how to fish. such as one of my best friends, Shane. And that's just, Logjam is just me and then featuring my best friends in the world that I've met through fishing because fishing is the best thing in the world that's happened in my life, no doubt.
That is cool. That is cool. What were you doing before fishing, before you came into fishing?
Oh man, so I always said that I wouldn't make a living off of my favorite thing in the world, which of course is fishing. So with the next best thing that takes me to really rad places and to places where there's lots of fish. So I was a whitewater guide.
Oh, you were whitewater.
Oh yeah, I was a whitewater guide for like 5 years, man. Did that in
That's cool.
Durango, Colorado, in Yellowstone, in Montana, guided in the Grand Canyon.
Oh, you did. You did the Grand Canyon too.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And then and I did whitewater for a year in Alaska as well, up in Denali National Park.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so this the stuff we went on, that little whitewater was like that's like easy stuff there. You've been down some big technical stuff.
Hey man, that whitewater that we did with you,
Yeah, that's still pretty technical.
yeah, you got to think like the American Whitewater Association, classifies rapids and whatnot a lot, off of technicality, the moves you have to make, but also consequence. And so think about where you and I were in the middle of nowhere. What if, I popped an oar and just poof, we make a mistake. All of a sudden you go for a swim and
Oh
all of
man.
a sudden that consequence is through the roof. So like technicality wise, a class 3 rapid in the backcountry could be considered a class 4 or class 5 just because of how
Right.
you make one little mistake, man.
God.
Um, yeah, it's nothing to mess around with. And especially when I'm out there, just myself and 2 clients.
Yeah.
There's not even another boat. There's not other guides. That's it. That's all. I've had, one time I went through that run up there and it was really low water and I just did a little maneuver where a little spin to wind where I put the bow onto a rock and I was going to do little hopefully 180 off of it, but instead I stopped at 90 degrees and clocked sharp rock
Ooh.
on the bank and just poof, my boat starts deflating. I'm like,
Oh crap! Really?
oh yeah. And this is a good one. And so pull over and I'm right above one of the biggest rapids. We call it staircase. And I'm just staring at it and I'm like, all right, well, I gotta patch this boat. And so we unload everything. It's like a week-long trip, get like 2 dudes, father, son, out of the boat and literally everything, coolers, all that, get it out, get it onto the bank. And we're in a canyon. There's nowhere to put this.
No.
And start drying it off and patch that boat up. The glue wasn't taken, wasn't happening. And we had to make some decisions and whatnot. And essentially, there was no way a heli could grab us in the middle of the canyon. And this gentleman, father and son, I think son was in his 50s, so dad was,
Older. So they're not hiking out. They're not hiking out of there.
yeah, exactly. We're not. And I mean, I went up like 20 yards into that. I was like, "There's no way. I don't care what your age is. You're not doing this. No one's taking out of here." So yeah, just had to make that game time decision. And I took spare life jackets, spare oars, anything with like any dexterity to it, and I just stuffed it into that area where there should have been air in that tube, and just gave it some.
Oh wow. Some duct tape.
Yeah, I just put.
But you just filled the gap. So literally, without air, you put in flotation.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't air, but it was solid. It wasn't a saggy thing. And I rode out like 30 miles like that.
Dude, that is really cool, man. So you did, yeah, because literally you got life jackets, whatever. It's still just filling the gap. You just don't want it to sink.
Yeah.
And how did it work? Did it work pretty well?
Oh man, it worked totally fine. I had to pump the boat out a couple times because if I caught a wave or something, and I also turned the whole boat. They're symmetrical boats, so I turned it so that soggy section was on my stern rear side, which I thought that would be like the spot that I'd take the least amount of waves, at least to the angle that I like to row, which was true. But I took 2 waves over there, and sure enough, had to I bathed up the boat, pull over.
Oh yeah, you filled up the boat. Oh right, because these aren't self bailers, right?
That's exactly right. So builds boat, that takes a while, which the guys were cool with it. And then the funniest part was on the 4th of July, was our last day on the water. And I was just like, screw it, man. I was like, do you guys want a heli to come in and give me like a full size patch kit, drop off a new boat? What are you feeling? And these guys were so cool, just as anyone is that comes to these backcountry trips in Alaska. They're just so about it. And they're like, look at me like, are you cool with it? I'm like, dude, I got this. Like, we're through the meat of the rapids. Like, we got 2 more days. Like, screw it. And they're like, yeah, if you're cool with it, we're cool. I'm like, sweet, sounds good. And yes, on the last day, we're rowing out, and the mouth of the river is jet boat accessible, and it's 4th of July, and so it's just a party. And literally everyone's like, dude, man, you got a popped tube. I'm like, oh. At one point, finally, I just like gave in. I just looked back. I'm like, oh, would you look at that? When did that happen?
Right. Oh man, you did it though. That's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, man, it's just like stuff like that like whitewater experience and stuff comes into play. I know Adam's a whitewater dude.
Oh, he is, yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's all fun and games and like totally fine until it isn't.
Yeah, and it happens quick.
Yeah, it can go wrong out there. And you just want to have experience and have a game plan and know what to do. It's definitely, I mean, people come out and they want, everyone wants to come and fish in Alaska and be in the wilderness and stuff. And then the second the rain starts smashing them and it gets down to like 14 degrees in August, they're like, oh, this is so bad. I'm like, welcome to Alaska, man. You wanted this.
Exactly. That's the experience, man. That's Alaska. God, that's great. So cool. Well, yeah, I mean, all the stuff on the whitewater, that's definitely interesting. I would love to hear. Maybe we'll chat later at another point on some of the stories, or I'm sure you've got some good Grand Canyon stuff and all of that. But yeah, man, anything else we want to hit on here before we kind of start to take it out of here? Have we kind of touched on most of the big stuff?
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you so much for giving me a little platform to preach all about my exciting news about Honduras. It's been really fun. I haven't gotten a chance to really share with a whole lot of people because I've just been working so hard on it, and I've kind of been hesitant to really bring it up because I just keep thinking to myself that this really isn't happening.
Right. Well, let's circle around now that you're kind of starting to get it rolled. Maybe in a year or two or something like that, we'll circle back around when you have the thing like fully going, and we'll do a check-in and see how it's all going for you.
Oh, yeah, man. It's my full plan to bring yourself and Torres out there and come fishing with me in Honduras.
There you go. That sounds like a plan. Okay. Well, so give me a little heads up. I love having something on the, art side a little bit. I always love to dig into a little bit of music. What's Honduras like from the music scene? Is there some pretty good stuff there?
Oh gosh, they listen to terrible music.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Like what? So is there not, you can't go out and see any live local music of some stuff there?
No, they really like DJs.
Oh, DJs, right. That is rough. That is rough.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, take us here then. If we don't have that, tell me what you're listening to just on, whatever, just whether Alaska or Honduras, what's your listening taste or groups and stuff like that?
Oh, music-wise, man.
Are you more of a podcast? Are you like more of a podcast, audio listener?
No, I do listen to music, but it's shameful that I listen to the like same music that I listened to when I was like 18 years old. I was born in 1993.
Right. Wow, you are young. And okay, so if we add on, so what year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated from high school in 2011.
Yeah, 2011. That is amazing. So 2011, I'm trying to think what was going on. See, that's how far out of it I don't even know. That's even past my time of knowing what was current in 2011. But what was it?
The biggest thing growing up, and also this is a whole other thing that we could do on a show that I guess we haven't really touched base, is where I grew up.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in the Great Lakes, man, border of New York and Canada.
Oh, really? You grew up in northern New York?
Yeah, man. I grew up right on the Niagara River area, fishing what some would call steelhead. What up there, it was all called steelhead.
Oh, yeah. We just did an episode on it, and we got tons. That is a hot spot for sure.
Yeah. So I've been, Great Lake rainbows, whatever. So yeah, Warp Tour came through every year, and that's where I was at. So I listened to Brand New and Taking Back Sunday and just terrible music like that. I can't believe I'm on a podcast telling you that right now.
There you go. I'm not even feeling it. This is good because I have no idea. Yeah, this is all interesting.
Oh, it's all like pop punk from the early 2000s that I'm very ashamed that that's all I still listen to.
Pop pump, gotcha. There you go. Okay, cool. This is good. I love going down this route kind of because it just sheds light on a whole period that I was like totally out. I mean, in 2011, I was, man, what was I doing? We were heading up to the Skeena for steelhead, right? That was the big trip we had that year. which is still the thing, right? I mean, that's still a good,
Oh yeah.
too many places. Cool. All right, Cam. Well, this has been a ton of fun. I think we obviously have some plans here in the future. You know, as you develop your program there, I'll be in touch, and we'll send everybody out to, like we said, Logjam Fly Fishing on Instagram, and or Fishhound. I guess if they really want to connect on some of this, Fishhound Expeditions would be a place as well, right?
Yeah, man. Logjam fly fishing for sure. Hit me up. I love when random people just hit me up and like, I've always wanted to fish in Alaska. Or, I've always wanted to catch a bonefish. That stuff's awesome. That's literally why I have Logjam fly fishing, just to chat with people that love to fish.
Awesome. Well, we'll see if a few people are hanging in here till the end. We'll send them out there and give you a heads up. And yeah, the social media thing is always interesting. It sounds like it's something that you do because you love connecting with people, but you don't necessarily love all that other side of social, right? The whatever that is, right? The influencer stuff and everything there.
Oh yeah, following the algorithms and that whatever. Like, nah, just trying to take all these, this content. I just have I have so much content on my phone just because I'm out there doing it all the time, and so it's like I might as well share this.
Exactly. All right, Cam. Well, thanks a lot, and we'll definitely be in touch with you until the next one. And yeah, have a good season up there in Alaska, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you, Dave, man. Really nice chatting.
So there it is. wetflyswing.com/447. 447. You can check it out right now. Check out some of the stuff we talked about today, some videos, some of the good stuff on Fishhound and Honduras. Find out a little bit deeper what Cam has going. Quick reminder, schooloffishing.co is the best place to go to find out where we are traveling next, where the next giveaway event is, where we are putting all this content around travel. Schooloffishing.co. Let's take a quick look at where we're heading next. Next week, you got to stay tuned. Next week, we are heading into Skeena country. This is Skeena Steelhead Week all week. We're going to be talking about fishing steelhead on the Skeena. We've got Brian Niska heading this off first thing next week. He's going to dig back into it. One of our best episodes ever. Brian's got some super knowledge. We're talking main stem, swinging for steelhead. It's going to be a big week, and we are doing a huge giveaway up to the Skeena Spay Lodge. So this is, you don't want to miss this. We got some surprise guests as well around this event, and it's going to be a good year. So I'm excited to get this one out. Check it out next week. Steelhead Week, Skeena style. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. You can't get much bigger than Skeena Steelhead Week. So I'm going to head out of here into the distance, off into the sun. Hopefully it's maybe sunny where you are right now, and maybe that sun's rising over the horizon, and I'm just wrapping up this podcast and heading out into the distance. I'm just cresting over the horizon and riding away on my horse and calling it a day. So I hope you are having a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you are, and I appreciate you for stopping in today and listening to the show.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com.